Hi, everybody. It's Tim Constantine from the Washington Times, joined by my good friend Dave Bozell for America. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Tim. Happy August. How are you?
Thank you very much. I hope you've had a fabulous summer.
Yep. So far, so good. No dramas.
So far, so good. Hey, I got a question for you. Look, President Trump is about 6 months in to this second go-round. Inflation is under wraps. I know everybody screamed when he put the tariffs in place. The tariffs are working great, by the way. He's got deals all over the world coming in. But everybody screamed, oh, this is going to cause the prices to go up. We're going to have it hasn't happened. Inflation under control. GDP growth, economic growth, higher than anticipated. It was 3.0 last statistic that came out. It was expected to be down in the low twos. So the economy is stronger than everyone expected. I look at the border, and in May of 2024, they had 162,000 people released into the United States under the Biden policy. In May of 2025, there were literally 0 people released into the United States under the Trump policy. When you look at June and July, they had 0 and 0 again. Clearly, the things that he ran on, the economy and the border, are both doing exactly what President Trump promised. My question is it just a sign of desperation of the left that Epstein, a guy who died 6 years ago, is the only thing they can throw out to try to muddy the waters?
Well, look, his President Trump approval ratings have not soared as much as the economy has. His approval ratings have lagged. They've kind of dipped this summer. And it started with the Epstein public relations fumble. The Democrats pounced on that fumble. Now, in my opinion, I think the Democrats had 4 years to tinker and mess around with that Epstein file 6 ways from Sunday. I think that's why they're desperate to see it in the way they tinkered with it. And that's why I think you're seeing President Trump say it's a scam more than anything else. So it's less it's convenient that, number one, the Trump administration really did fumble the rollout of not rolling out the Epstein file. And two, I think within Democrat circles, they realized that the Biden administration had 4 years to tinker with that thing, and they want it released as soon as possible because it probably does some damage because of their tinkering, not because of anything nefarious that Trump or anybody within his circle would have done vis-a-vis Epstein. So
what's crazy to me is there isn't even a specific accusation. Nobody is saying Trump went to Lolita Island. Nobody is saying Trump was with. They've just said Epstein, who is universal. It's like saying Satan or Hitler. Epstein. The whole world hates Epstein, and we're going to tie Trump to him. How? Well, I don't know. Trump, Epstein. There's no connection at all. Oh, he's hiding something. What's he hiding? I don't know. It's the biggest non-story in my mind. A guy who's been dead 6 years. I agree they fumbled on how they said, all right, maybe there isn't a list. They could have done that better, but what's the story here? There isn't one.
Well, I think this is why the DOJ is going down to Maxwell and interviewing her for, I guess, reportedly over 24 hours over a couple of day period. To confirm, or essentially to go say, now this is what's in the file now. We think it wasn't in the file then. Can you confirm or deny anything that's in the file now? And I think it points to my suggestion earlier that I think the Democrats had 4 years to mess with this thing. God knows they messed with a lot of other things. So why not Epstein? Why not try to paint Trump and his administration in the worst light possible? So it's a little bit of a desperation play by the Democrats. Look, you mentioned the economy earlier, Tim. We ran a surplus in June. If we run another surplus in July, I'm giving him as much rope on the economy as he wants. I mean, we haven't had surpluses in this country. I haven't even discussed economic surpluses in this country since like the 2000 campaign, Gore v. Bush, when the central issue of the campaign was what to do with the surplus that the American government.
We're going to put it in a lockbox.
The lockbox, right? So we haven't talked about those things in 25 years. And so if he has 2 months in a row of surpluses, He gets a lot of rope from me on whatever he wants to do with the economy. I would like to see him, though. Trump likes to get credit, right? And he likes to garner credit and solicit credit, and many members of his cabinet will go around television crediting Donald Trump. That's fine. But I think his ratings would soar through the roof if he used a little bit more we, the American people, and a little less I, Donald Trump. And if he's listening to this, and we know he is, that's what I would suggest. Just we built this economy together. It's the American people that are creating jobs together. More city on a hill, less your favorite president.
Yeah, it's just the flip side of my least favorite Obama comment ever, and it's a long list, but my least favorite Obama comment ever was when he was talking about people that had been successful with small business and said, "You didn't build that." And I'm thinking, yeah, they did. If you tell a guy that worked 80 hours a week on his small business, you didn't build that. It's just the flip side of that. It's obviously the president's policies are very helpful, but it's some hard work from some great Americans and from the administration as well. So I'm with you there. The little humility, a little teamwork is all a good thing. Finally, I mentioned Barack Obama, and we've seen Tulsi Gabbard release some files here that show what some on the right have suspected for a long time, and that is that John Brennan and others intentionally misled the public in the whole Trump-Russia gate thing. Question is, does that rise to the level of treason? If they intentionally tried to push out a president based on information they knew was false, is that treason?
I think so. I'm not a lawyer. I think President Obama probably will enjoy the immunity that being the president avails of him. But the lower level people, Brennan, McCabe, Strzok, all those guys, I would expect indictments. I don't think the DOJ is messing around. You don't throw this to the grand jury, and I think you're hearing leaks about the confirmed grand jury. I think this has been going on for quite some time behind the scenes. And it's self-evident that the leaks are coming from this current DOJ, that this stuff is in front of the grand jury. And so I think they're confident that indictments are coming. I think a lot of guys within the Obama apparatus are going to get perp walked.
Well, and that the question of the leaks raises my final question, and that is this justice or is this retribution, or is it both?
I think it's a little bit of both. But look, you cannot put the country through what they did without being held accountable. You just can't. You can't. They engineered a 4.5 long year hoax costing the American taxpayers tens of millions of dollars in investigation and tens of millions of dollars in time and energy, dividing this country for the sole purpose of preserving Obama's legacy. Because we've talked about this many times, we live in the executive order era. Congress votes on 1, 2, maybe 3 bills a year, maybe. The president, gets all the credit and gets all the blame. President Obama spent 8 years trying to reform America, right? Trying to transform America. The transformation of America has begun, he so famously said in 2008. He spent 8 years doing it. Trump runs on the singular pledge of unraveling what Obama had done to this country. And so when you spend 8 years cultivating that from a public policy perspective, and 8 years cultivating all of those relationships, that the press, I said this at a speech the other day, the press saw that this Chicago brigade came down and descended upon Washington, and they needed to be friendly with them. And so they spent 8 years doing that. So it was just a natural progression for the media to continue the hoax. So yes, I mean, this is, people went to jail, millions of dollars were spent on a hoax. The media were complicit. Absolutely. This is one of the things that people voted for Trump, voted Trump for 2.0. For accountability.
One of the most damning pieces of evidence, I think, is the Oversight Committee, which at the time was chaired by Adam Schiff, who is a great opponent, of course, of Trump, put a report out that essentially cleared President Trump, except they then labeled it classified and refused to release it. And so at the same time, Adam Schiff was on the news every night saying, oh, this doesn't look good for Trump. He literally knew that they had evidence to the contrary of what he was saying, but now that has been declassified and released to the public. I think that's one of the most damning pieces here is that lays out Brennan and other people's role in all of this.
Yeah. Like, listen, they spent 4.5 years going after him, and I don't want to hear any lectures from Democrats or their friends in the media that this is unprecedented, that we would go after another administration. And I don't want to hear any lectures. This is exactly what they did to him. Over a hoax, over the fact that a reality show real estate magnate came in and won the presidency, and they were just totally upset about that. And then the Trump derangement syndrome unfolds from there. And so I just don't want to hear any lectures of these guys. The rule of law is the rule of law, and the DOJ is going to pursue it. And I really do expect some serious indictments and some serious perp walking in the next couple of weeks in Washington, D.C.
For America, he is Dave Bozell. I'm Tim Constantine from the Washington Times. Thanks for joining us.